welcome back to the channel. Today, something a bit different. Won't be doing any toy reviews or unboxings. Today, we're doing a book review. And yes, today's book, Welcome to Neverbury by Chris Lynch. Now, Chris Lynch is, I'll put his website details in the links in the description below. He's done a whole load of stuff. He's a local lad, Cardiff. No, not local Cardiff, but he's local in Cardiff, Wales. He's written a whole bunch of stuff, comics, screenplays, other books. He's done a whole load of, it's like an alternate universe Doctor Who stuff. I'm sure Doctor Who fans, people who read the books will know that's with the old Lethbridge Stewart going off on jaunts to alternate Earths and timelines and what have you. He's done a bunch of those, and he's a good lad. He's a good lad, you know. Old Chris, known him quite a number of years now. Not like close friends, but I know him. I've talked to him and stuff. And so when this book was coming out, when he was very, very interested, that's all I'd see online was kind of brainstorming the cover details, the art and fonts and stuff. And anybody who knows me knows tentacles, I'm in. If you've got tentacles involved, I am in. Okay? Yes, it's they depending on which creature they're attached to, it's normally 8 or 10 arms to hold you, you know. Got tentacle loving, not that sort. I know what you're thinking. But no, this is there's even a wee little more tentacles on the back. So yes, might go wonky. But yeah, it's that kind of gives you a hint of what to expect. Maybe throws you off a bit as well, because it's not going to be the kind of bog standard knockoff Cthulhu stuff. You know, it's not that at all. Okay, I'll just read the back. I'll read the back. It's got somewhere on the coast of England. Neverbury is a quaint little seaside town with the kind of problems that a lot of quaint little seaside towns have these days. Demons, serial killers, immortals, thieves, time travellers, ghosts, vampires, haunted houses, witches, and an extraordinary strident village council, and monsters. There are gods above and the great thing below. Praise them all. Sounds like a typical Welsh Valleys town or village. Yeah, you know, they say, I was reading this, and having grown up in the Welsh Valleys, I was like, yeah, I can relate. But okay, so there's, I believe there's 15 stories, short stories here. Let's do a quick recap. Yes, 15 short stories here. And it's a damn good read. It's a damn good read. I've read a lot of stuff, you know, where you kind of have the idea of what it's going to be when you go in, and then you're pleasantly surprised. You know, Chris steers well away from the bog standard trappings of such fiction, I guess, weird fiction. In the sense that, not to say there's no story with tentacles, because otherwise I'd be very, very misleading cover, you know. And to a certain extent, you can't judge a book by its cover, because there is one story in particular where that's very relevant, you know. But yes, but it's good. It's the weird kind of fiction, and I said the kind of genres and stuff, the stories and things. It's wonderful. It's an absolutely wonderful read. Upon first reading it, I noticed as I was reading the very first story, which is yes, no refunds, it brought to mind the very first time I read The Colour of Magic by Terry Pratchett. It just evoked that sense of the first time reading that. And as I'm going through, and having read all of it, my initial impressions, I think, were correct in that I stand by my description of it as being, if League of Gentlemen were written by Gaiman and Pratchett. Okay, it's that kind of is a singular town, like it is with Royston Vasey, and you're introduced to different characters, different places, what have you. There's some stories will reference places or characters from other stories, but there's not a lot of that. You know, he doesn't just trowel that stuff on to say, hey, look, everybody knows everybody, and, you know, hey, look, this is all in the same town. It's like, no, it's just enough. You know, it's sprinklings of it to give it that sense of community. But it's done really, really well. Some people have, like, one of the reviews kind of thing, likened it to Inside Number 9, but I don't get that. Inside Number 9 is a thematic thing around the number 9, you know. It's not set in the same place, you know. So while it's an anthology series, which I can understand, I don't get that, you know. Yes, there's the dark humour. Yeah, there's some what some people might consider scary, depending on subject matter, you know. There's it's a good mix of stuff. I made a couple of notes. So along with the whole kind of, if Gaiman and Pratchett had concocted Royston Vasey and the stories of the characters they're in, you get, reminds me of other things. It fits well in with, I don't know if anybody remembers the TV show Erie, Indiana. I remember that growing up. I think it was an American show, which I can't remember which channel we watched it on over here. But there was that. I guess Stephen King's Derry, where, you know, he'll set, and a number of his other townships where creepy, weird, odd goings on happen to different people in the same town. Even Arkham, Massachusetts, again, you know, the central town, which is almost a character within itself, and all the weirdness that goes on there. It's wonderful. I like Neverbury. I like this town. I like the stuff, you know, reading about the stuff that goes on there. I'm happy that he has actually announced that he's working on a second Neverbury book, which would be wonderful. Can't wait to go back there. There's nice little touches in this, like the first story, for instance. As you really realise, little things like the title of the story, which is Yes, No Refunds, is actually kind of hints or as a connection to the plot device in the story. You know, and when you read it, you understand, maybe. I picked it up, I was like, oh, that's clever. I like that. You know, there's a couple of things like that. It's really good. I think with this, again, TV show reminding me of, as some of the stories, there's almost like an abrupt ending, but it's weighted. You know, the very last sentence or the last few sentences are extremely weighted, you know, with foreboding. And then it stops and it leaves you hanging, and you're like, you just want more, you know, and it kind of lingers, and you're like, come on, you know. And it's great because, in the sense that, you remember, again, show my age, but there's a TV show which Roald Dahl was involved in writing as well, time, called Tales of the Unexpected. And I always remember it growing up because particular theme tune, and I think it was the closing credits, always had like the dark silhouette of a woman dancing against a background of flames. So you couldn't actually see much detail of her. She was just dancing away, lots of flames going off and this and that. And but whenever that kind of, the punchline, the kind of, where it come up to the end in there, and it hit, and then it go black, it go to credit, and that kind of thing. And you're like, what? You know, and you just want more, you know? You want to know what happens next. Do you know what I mean? And it's that kind of thing, and it leaves it to the imagination you know, of exactly what has happened, you know, and there's a number of stories where Chris pulls it off very well with this. Really cool, really like it. So so I would like it would be pretty suited to TV. Like there's one story, Open House, which is toward one of the latter stories. The way it ends, I was like, what, are you kidding? It's like, come on, Chris, you can't just leave it there, seriously, you know? But it is literally that fade to black, that like, almost like cut to black kind of thing. And then the last story is an epilogue for one of the earlier stories, which again, I was like, oh, great, fine, you know, it's picking up. And again, he wonderfully leaves it in a place where you're like, you better pick this up in the second book because I need to know what happens next, you know. And I love it. I like that they hooked me. Like it's good. Like it really got the hooks in. Some of the other stuff I really liked. I think it's the second story, Dead Letter Office. Oh, it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. The main character in it, he's works in the post office. His name's Patrick. Didn't twig until there's a line in there which references the children's TV show Postman Pat. It references the theme song. There's like just a line to his phrase, and it just struck me, and I actually properly laughed out loud, you know. And then I was like, wait a minute, and then I was like, his name's Patrick. He's got a red van. Jesus Christ! Come on, it's wonderful. It's fantastic little details like that, just peppered throughout, which if you don't get, it doesn't spoil the story. But when you see it, you're like, that's amazing. That's just wonderful. You know, it's almost like a dark take on like, what if, you know, Postman Pat had gone down this route. It's great. A few other things is, I don't think there's, it's hard to come up with like, oh, what was my least favourite story? You know, what was I not, I don't know. It's, thinking about it, it's quite difficult, you know. It's, my two favourites, my two absolutely favourite stories in there are A Design for Living and The Thing Below. And they are, I guess, they really speak to my favourite kind of genre of kind of that weird fiction, that kind of strangeness, you know, going on in towns. And you know, one is connected with dreams, like weird invasive dreams, and what have you. And the other one is all about, again, that the Thing Below kind of leans into, I guess, that kind of mythos, not just Lovecraftian, you know, it's which others have done as well. It's all to do like archaeology and ancient civilizations and this kind of thing, and it's really, really well written, you know, without being too heavy. You know, it's an easy read. You know, you get through it, I don't know, a couple of hours. You know, it's wonderful. So I knew that they had done an Audible book as well. So I got credits on Audible, so I was like, okay, I'll use up one of my credits, check it out, see how it comes across in spoken word. I'm gonna be honest, completely honest, I was disappointed. Really disappointed. The way it's narrated, as I said, about the atmosphere and when you're reading it and the way it hooks you and that kind of thing, and the it's just sometimes the story structure and even the build of the story. There's one story which kind of builds the story of these two thieves basically going into a toy shop in the night hunting for something particular, and things just go so wrong, so absolutely wrong for them, and it kind of builds and builds and builds, and the last line because again, like when those plot device, something which is mentioned in passing almost in the story, it kind of Chris brings that back around towards the end, and in this horrible situation, it kind of adds that extra layer on top, makes things more than just in the realms of the natural. It adds that supernatural element to it. Just really, with just a single line at the end, it's wonderful. In the Audible, it's just read as a line, and that's my problem with the Audible in general. The Audible book, it's narrated as somebody literally just reading the words on the page without feeling the story and conveying that, conveying the spirit of the story, the essence of it, in a sense. Just literally just reading through the words, almost breathlessly, without barely a pause between the sentences. So the stories don't breathe. You're not taken along with it. You're dragged along with it. The pace is quite the pace. Like it's like da 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 da, and you're like whoa, and I guess because I knew where the story was going, I'd keep up. Otherwise, it's almost like your brain has to race to catch up a bit. Just go a bit faster, catch up, and sometimes it just ends abruptly. That's it. And then, and yes, some of the stories, they do end abruptly, but there's that weight behind it, so you're left sitting there, and I guess you could pause it and think about it. But again, with the book, you can go back and check and stuff. Obviously, with Audible, you could, but just it was a disappointing experience, and I would hate for someone to perhaps check out the audiobook first before considering buying the physical book. And I'm talking about those who don't have any kind of visual impairments, who are able to read the book now. For those with visual impairments who rely on audiobooks, it disappoints me that I feel personally, my own personal opinion, this is what it's all about, that they're not gonna. I don't feel that they'll get the full experience of it. It's just, I don't know. It's read through too quick. I mean, the narrator puts in the effort put in by the narrator is more into, I feel, giving variety to the voices, to the voice acting, in that, so that perhaps because male, and there can be all sorts of problems where I've heard some hilarious, absolutely hilarious audiobooks in the past where the man narrating is doing a woman's voice and it's just atrocious, and I could not carry on listening because it was that bad. Not the case here. Narrator does a good job with the voices, and I guess to differentiate so that all women's voices don't sound like the same 2 or 3 women's voices. They're giving regional accents for some, which are not alluded to in the book. So it's that kind of artistic choice, perhaps, to do it. And it feels like there's more effort into that than to get the essence, the feel of the story across. I don't feel, listening to it, I didn't feel any of the foreboding or any of the creepiness, or that kind of a thing that niggles you in the back of your mind, when you're reading the story and everything seems normal, everything seems fine, but there's just something there, and it's slowly creeping in, which you get in some of the stories. Chris does a great job with that. Even the banality of evil, just like the dead letter office story with the postman, and the horrendous things that goes on. It's just another day for him, But that comes across, but it doesn't in the audiobook, and I was disappointed. I guess I expected more of it, and I don't know if it's because I'd read the book. My expectations, I guess, maybe were a bit high. I don't know, but then I've listened to other audiobooks of short stories and what have you, and the inflection, as a person's talking as they're narrating, the inflection they give and the tone and the pacing, they all, to convey the story, to convey that sense of feeling of what the story is putting across. It's there, but it's not in the audiobook for Welcome to Neverbury. It seems a bit, not so much monotone, but there's no, the heart's not in it. I just didn't feel the heart was in it, and that's a shame, because I think Neverbury deserves it. Of course, it's not the best book ever written. But if you like that kind of weird fiction, those odd little towns and things, if you like, and then it's a good mix of genres. It's not all the same thing. But Neverbury is well worth a visit. Definitely please consider picking it up, have a read. I'll put a link in the description of Chris's website, and I'll put a link. I think I got mine from Amazon, but I'm sure you can get other places. I'll put the links anyway where you can pick this up. But it's well worth it. It's not that much. It doesn't cost that much. It's great. We'll also got to say, I think it might be down to my autism, I don't know, but the feel of the book, like the actual feel of it, it's really nice. I like the feel of it. I was reading, and as I'm reading, every now and again I'd be like, oh yeah, that actually does feel nice. And I'm like, stroke the book, it's like, I don't know. It's not a thing, it's a sensory thing for me. So it's almost as if it's slightly, it's going to sound strange if you don't get the sensory processing issues and things. You may be like, what on earth are you talking about? But I know there's people out there who will get it when I say that even though I know this card thing, I don't know what it is about it, but it's almost got like a rubberized feel, like slightly rubberized feel. That's the way I feel. That's the way my brain processes it. But it's really nice. It's really nice, and it smells like books are supposed to smell. It's got that smell that books are supposed to have. It's because it's the paper. I've quite a lot of recent books I'm checking out. The paper has been a bit too expensive. Like they've paid for quite expensive paper, and it's quite pricey paper. But this is like, yeah, it's proper paperback paper, and I think it just evokes a lot of sensory memories for me, growing up, and the books I read. Again, the kind of paper stock. It's great, it's absolutely brilliant, and just like those books, keep it, and just knowing years to come, it'll end up probably smelling in suitable for the subject matter. It's going to be like, whoa, that book smells just like I imagine it does. But no, it's great. It's a wonderful book. I can't wait for the second one, for the follow up to this, because there's some things in here which I hope get picked up on. I can't wait to meet new inhabitants of Neverbury. It's going to be wonderful, and but for some of them, which warrant, and you can almost tell what stories are going to be picked up and carried on. Can't wait to see what's going to happen next. Others are definitely one shots, which is really cool. One and done. Love it, absolutely love it. So no pressure, Chris. No pressure at all, Chris Lynch, for getting the second volume done as soon as possible. Take your time, mate. Take your time. Don't take your time. Don't take your time. And I'll just leave it there. Buy the book. Buy the book.